What's going on, y'all? This is the Face Mask Podcast. My name is John Alsace, and today Julio Jones got traded. Now, the first thing I think about when I think about a guy like him's traded is like, all right, who's the biggest beneficiary? Who's going to benefit the most? Who can I latch on to and in terms of a sleeper or whoever who can bring me the most fantasy value? And I got to stop myself a little bit because before I deep dive into that, and I will, trust me, that'll be the next video I get into is who is the sleeper winner from this Julio fallout. We got to dig into whether or not Julio's still going to be a wide receiver one in Tennessee. And in order to do that, I think we really got to look at these two quarterbacks and what sets them apart from each other, because I think there is one really big difference and it plays itself out in the stats. So without further ado, let's dig into some of these stats that I think tell the real story. The past two seasons, Ryan Tannehill without Gase, 457 attempts and 481 attempts. He's maxed out at 321 completions, and that was in his first year if you extrapolate his 10 starts through a full 16 games. So he didn't actually reach that number. I extrapolated, gave him the benefit of the doubt. But in that 10-game season, he had a 70.3% completion percentage. And in the following season, he had a 65.5% completion percentage. Matt Ryan, on the other hand, passes all over the place. In 2020, Matt Ryan led the league in pass attempts. In 2019, Matt Ryan was third in the league in pass attempts with 626, and in 2018, Matt Ryan was third in the league with 608. Now, think about that disparity because it's pretty telling. In Matt Ryan's lowest pass attempt total in the past 3 seasons, he was at 608. Ryan Tannehill's highest in the past 2 seasons with the same head coach, same offensive coordinator. Now he's going into 2020 with a different offensive coordinator, but he's never gotten above 481 attempts. And Matt Ryan's completion percentage was 66% and 65% the past 2 seasons. So you look at it, Matt Ryan passed a ton and his completion percentage was all right. Ryan Tannehill passed a considerable amount less in both of the last 2 seasons historically. His head coach is not changing. Only his offensive coordinator is changing. His offensive coordinator was a tight ends coach, so you would think that they would most likely run a similar scheme. So we're looking at another year of 481 targets for grabs, and Julio's coming in and he's new to the party. So at first I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of staying away from Julio now. This doesn't look good. This might open up some more coverage for AJ Brown, but I don't like Julio here. He's going to get a ton less targets, and his quarterback, as far as a completion percentage, pretty similar. Not much of an advantage gain there. A few percentage points. That's about it. But I knew that wasn't telling the whole story. I knew there was something else because Ryan Tannehill's been too good the past few seasons. Matt Ryan is just shown to be not good for the past 3 seasons at least, right? So something else had to be up. And this couldn't be skewed so far in Matt Ryan's favor to where I would be dropping Julio down my rankings, right? Something didn't feel right. Then I decided to look into red zone efficiency. And that's where the true value of this move change can kind of be seen, kind of takes light. So let's take you through the numbers there. In 2020, Matt Ryan's red zone efficiency inside 20 yards was 50%, inside 10 yards, 45.24%, and inside the 5 yards, 0%. Ryan Tannehill, on the other hand, 63.24 inside the 20, 68.75 inside the 10, and 100% inside the 5. He was money as he got closer towards the red zone, and that was just 2020. If you continue to 2019, Ryan Tannehill's better season, he had a 71.1% completion percentage inside the 20, 77.78 inside the 10, and 86 inside the 5. Matt Ryan, on the other hand, in 2019 had a 51.1% completion percentage inside the 20, 62 inside the 10, and 55 inside the 5. Not that great. Doesn't really compare. So when I was first digging into this, I was like, oh, yo, Julio, I don't know, man. We should be tanking his value because he's not going to get the pass attempts. And then I looked at completion percentage and I said, look, Ryan Tannehill, kind of comparable. But then I looked at the red zone efficiency and said, aha. I had an aha moment because we're going to see a Julio Jones that we've never seen. We've never seen a Julio Jones who didn't get all the targets in the world, but excelled in the red zone and had 10 plus TDs. In fact, the only time we've ever seen Julio Jones get above 8 touchdowns was in 2012. His second season in the league, he got 128 targets for 79 receptions, 1,198 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Now, me personally, I think those reception numbers, the yardage numbers, and the touchdown numbers are kind of on point for what we should be expecting from Julio Jones in 2021. Now, I do expect him to get even more than 10 touchdowns. Yes, Julio Jones is going to get more than 10 touchdowns, all right? For the first time in his career, he's going to completely buck that whole stigma about him being TD allergic. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna finally play with a quarterback who can get him the ball in the red zone, because he's never had a quarterback that has been able to do that. Never, ever. Kind of crazy. Hell, in 2016, he was 6th on his team in red zone looks. Okay, 2016, you would think that he should be leading his team in red zone looks every year. 2016, Devonta Freeman was in front of him. Jacob Tamme was in front of him. Justin Hardy was in front of him in red zone touches. Dude, that's what I'm talking about here. I don't think anybody's going to be in front of him for red zone touches in Tennessee. I think A.J. Brown will still lead the team in targets, but in terms of red zone, you got a guy of Julio's stature across from the guy commanding double coverage, at least, in A.J. Brown. I mean, damn, dude, he's going to explode in the red zone all over the place. Pause. But yeah, dude, just so I'm expecting, this is what my expectation is. 113 targets, 79 receptions, 1,198 yards, 10 plus touchdowns. Because look, Mike Evans 2020, he gets a new quarterback who's more efficient, passes less yardage, more TDs, right? He's still a wide receiver 1. He's just a different type of wide receiver 1 than he's ever been. He was a guy that caught more touchdowns than caught crazy yardage. Same thing's going to be true for Julio, except I think it's going to be more pronounced. This will be a more extreme shift. We're going to see Julio go from a guy who was perennially outside of last season, getting 1,400 yard totals at the end of fantasy season, racking up that yardage, Hall of Fame level production, easy. He's gonna go from getting 1,400 yards annually as a baseline, because he did that 5 seasons in a row, to getting around 1,100 yards. But instead of getting 6 TDs, 3 TDs, ceiling of 8 TDs, he's gonna have a relative floor of 8 TDs. I don't think he sees below 10, and I think he could push for 15. I mean, we just saw Devontae Adams get 18 himself. So that's my hypothesis. I think we're going to see a different Julio Jones than we've ever seen. He will be just as fantasy relevant, just in a different way than we've ever seen Julio Jones be fantasy relevant before. The great receivers adapt as they get older. Julio can't be out there as an aging receiver, getting 12, 13, 14 targets a game. It's led to him getting injured and nicked up. Can't do it anymore. So put him in positions to succeed to the utmost and give him a team that can and a quarterback that can maximize that. I think this is a match made in heaven. From Julio's standpoint, it allows him to age gracefully, and we'll get into some of the fallout from this in terms of other position players on both teams within the coming days. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for listening. This is the Face Mask Podcast.